tell me about this new talent that you've acquired.
Yeah, we have some really good ones. I think he's probably the strongest player in the entire league, and he's an absolute freak. We call him the Hulk. He is a former CrossFit Games competitor. Will probably be there again this year. He is a former Olympian in Olympic weightlifting.
My name is Breanna Sorensen, and I am here today with Nick Habich, head coach of the SWFL Sharks. Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. So first, let's get started. How excited are you for season to just be a few months away?
I'm very excited. It's pretty cool. This is season 5, and I'm really excited for us to have a normal year and a normal play style.
Oh yeah, because last season was a little intense with, a few months of play all into 2 days, right? So it was a little chaotic.
Well, we weren't that good, so it was just one day, but I know what you mean.
True, very true. Okay, well, we're going to do, at least we have multiple days this season for sure. But so first, as head coach of the Sharks, what is your recruiting strategy for this upcoming season, and where are you right now in that process? How far along are you?
Yeah, so I think we're pretty good. We have a pretty good core group of guys and gals who we kind of plan our team around. And then we go out and we recruit people to fill the holes, or with significant strengths that match those key players. I think we're doing pretty good. We have a pretty high talent level committed to the team right now, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Now, we talked before, the Sharks don't have the advantage of being in a huge city like Tampa or Orlando. So how do you strategize to get some of those key players in like a smaller market?
Yeah, that's a good point. We're probably as close to like a small market team as the Florida Grid League has. And as it stands right now, I think a lot of why people play for certain teams is because of where they live. Understandably, completely understandably, So we're a spread out area in Southwest Florida from basically Sarasota down to Naples. And the reality is we have all the best people on our team. The best athletes in the area are on our team already. So we have to work hard to convince players who live in other cities that, a big role on our team, an opportunity to perform really well, might outweigh being the 10th or 11th person on another team,
Yeah. So is that your main, point that you try to sell to them as a coach that hey, you might get way more playing time with us than on other teams?
Yeah, that's one of the points too. And then, I always kind of say the comparison is like the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
They have to make up for, not having the highest talent level with really good strategy, really good execution. And a lot of other teams have the ability to not perform too well and still do very well. We don't have that. So because of that, we practice really hard. Our players are very good at executing. And generally the people that fit, the best on our team are ones who can do that, who are interested in that.
Yeah. One of the biggest parts about grid is also the strategy above it, right? Because you can have some of the best players, but if you're not strategizing correctly on how to use them, you can still easily lose. So tell me about, as a coach, how people don't realize how important strategy is, when you're out there doing these races.
Yeah, that's totally true. And I think that's why it's so much more fun than a lot of other forms of competitive fitness, for me at least, is that strategy matters so much. In the last 4 years, I can't tell you how many times I've watched a better team, or I should say a better talent level of athletes lose to a lesser talent level of athletes because of execution or a game plan that was unexpected, players adapting on the fly versus players who can't necessarily adapt on the fly. And then as a coach, it requires a lot of communication and a lot of very, very quick adaptation. You have a player whose expectation is to perform 20 of something. You realize on rep 9, they're not getting there. And that changes everything else you planned on doing downstream. So you kind of have to have a clear communication with your players, but also be ready to come up with more plans kind of on the fly.
Yeah. And even as coach, you are constantly strategizing, even as simple as things as when to throw the bonus flag, when you think, you have the upper hand. So tell me, how much does it take when you're going up against a certain team? Are you preparing a week ahead of time, or how are you doing research on the other team as well to see hey, where are their strengths and weaknesses compared to our strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to at this point, right? The first couple of years of the season, the early adopters were able to kind of take advantage of the newer teams because they were still learning the rules. But we're past that point. Like, everybody involved knows how to play. You know,
Yeah.
all the coaches are good. The players are so much better than they used to be.
Oh, yeah.
You have to do a really good job of taking advantage where you can and limiting loss where you can. You know, so. Yeah, we definitely do that. We look at a team that has, let's say, not the strongest men on their team in comparison to other teams. And we say, okay, well, we need to dominate these male triads or these male echoes.
Yeah.
You look at a team that has, maybe slightly less skilled female gymnastics, and you say, okay, well, this is where we need to throw a bonus flag. This is where I need to make sure that even though we might lose a couple other races, we have to win this one,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's as people watch the season this year, they're going to see a lot more of that now that the coaches know so many more of the players too.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, going into next season, were there certain like positions that you wanted to make sure to recruit for? Like, what for recruiting wise, like what was your strategy like for this upcoming season? Like, what were you pushing?
Yeah, we've had some glaring weaknesses over the years, and we haven't been able to fill them. The biggest weaknesses we had for the Sharks generally was female gymnastics and male strength, right?
Yeah.
And like top level strength, meaning like guys who clear ladders, who feel comfortable with mirror, stuff like that. I think we fixed that this year.
Awesome.
I don't know when this is going to air, so I don't know if I can say it yet, but I'm pretty sure we signed the strongest player in the league.
That's great.
Yeah, we're really excited to see him get out there on there.
That's awesome. And will you be utilizing the American Grid Trials at all coming up? I know that's in about a week and a half, but will you be utilizing that at all for recruiting, or do you think you pretty much have your everything set?
Yeah, no, most definitely we will. I mean, the American Grid Trials are really important, right? Because grid is not yet something that people practice generally, right? So it falls onto us as the coaches and the general managers and the experienced players to find people and say, okay, this person has a spark of something that could be really, really useful on the team. We could grow this into them. I think if you look at the best players on our team, a lot of them were not the best players their first year, but they realized, okay, I'm good at this thing. It's time for me to specialize. It's time for me to practice this throughout the years. And now they're pretty damn good at it.
Yeah, there's so many different movements in grid that you wouldn't like normally do. So as
right.
Are you constantly like, if you get a new athlete or player, like, are you like trying to teach them like, hey, like this is how you even properly do this movement in an efficient way and also add speed to it as well? Like, are you constantly like in touch with all these players during the off season and trying to perfect all these movements?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of an art, like less of a science, right? Because we want to stay in contact with the players throughout the off season, but you also want to give them their time. The season is stressful. I know it's not a ton of time, but like for people who care about this, it's stressful to show up to the matches and do your best and practice. So when it's not when we're not in season, it's tricky. Like, how often do we communicate? How often do we not communicate? We're lucky in the Southwest Florida area in that all of us go to gyms. A lot of the players go to my gym, and we see each other at local events, right? So the camaraderie continues throughout the season. Someone's running a charity thing, 7 or 8 players will get their gyms involved with it, and we'll make sure that goes well. But that's kind of the trick too, right? Is like during the off season, you're not doing triple touches normally,
No.
You're not practicing how fast can I possibly cycle snatches at 175 pounds.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to throw that in there, so we talk to each other. We have a private group for the players. We talk to each other about staying on our skills and making sure that we don't go from one season to the next and getting worse.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Now, I saw also on the Sharks Instagram that you signed, you've announced the signing of quite a few new players. So tell me about this new talent that you've acquired.
Yeah, we have some really good ones. I guess I can talk about that if you saw it. So Bran, we just signed him for our men's strength. I think he's probably the strongest player in the entire league. And he's an absolute freak. We call him the Hulk. He is a former CrossFit Games competitor. Will probably be there again this year. He is a former Olympian in Olympic weightlifting. He's a super nice dude too, but just incredibly strong. And our team was hurting so poorly on male strength last year that I had to play in a couple of the strength. And I'm not a strength player. So I think we made a big change there. Then on the female side, we signed a new player named Jenna Riddle. Jenna's a local athlete. She's the training partner of one of our longtime players, Serena Clark. She's an absolute animal. We've been trying to get her for about 3 years, and we finally convinced her this year. I'm really, really happy about that. And then we got 2 players back who weren't able to play last year. We got Leila, Elaty, and Derek Anderson, right, who have been core players for us for the entire time we've been in the Florida Grid League. They had to take this tournament off, and their guiding presence was definitely missed during the tournament. So I think having that veteran leadership will be really important for this year.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be excited to see all of them out there. But what is your goal for the Sharks for this upcoming season?
Man, we've gotten close a lot of times. I'd love to win the thing this year. It'd be real nice. I think we have the talent for it now. We just got to execute. You know, we got to show up. We got to execute. In the tournament, we had a lot of rookies who did a fantastic job, but they were learning the sport like in real time during our first match. We don't have as much of that this year, and I think we have to execute because of it.
What is your favorite part about coaching the Sharks?
Man, it is so much fun, right? It's just coaching the Sharks is so much fun. Players try really hard, right? Like they don't want to fail, right? So I have to put them in the best positions to do the best they can, right? And it's really challenging, and it requires a ton of work, and it's hard and it's stressful, but it's so much fun putting a good plan together, finding a strategy that maybe another team wasn't expecting, teaching the players or having them teach me ways that we can do things faster and more effective, and then watching it work in real time. Because like it's kind of like, you know, once the match starts, there's only so many things you can change at that point, you know. So watching it play off well is really cool.
Absolutely. Now, you know, coming up, you know, what is I can see obviously you're very passionate about fitness. So in your own, you know, when you do have time, I know you're running a billion businesses, but what is your own training schedule like?
So mine is not as great as I would love it to be. I get probably 4 or 5 days a week. And I just do our hourly classes here at SharkBite. SharkBite Fitness and Nutrition, that's our gyms. We have locations in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and Naples. I jump into one of the classes every day. And if I can't, I do a modified version of it in between Zoom meetings or coaching classes or whatever else I'm doing. When we get closer to season, I probably add 15 minutes 2 or 3 times a week into practicing gymnastics movements. I'm a gymnastics specialist. When I play, I generally don't touch barbells, not counting this last tournament. So I think general fitness and then small skill work to benefit exactly what I'm going to be doing in match.
Yeah, body weight wise. So for all the body weight, you know, specialists, everybody's doing gymnastics. Do you think that that's almost like a disadvantage compared to the ones that are like heavyweight specialists? Because I feel like body weight is so unique. Like most people aren't going to the gym, you know, to do all these body weight movements. Usually, you know, people are doing more, you know, heavyweight. Do you think that's more of like a disadvantage to be like a body weight specialist doing all these gymnastics movements in a gym?
Yeah, I definitely think that. First off, I'm 6'2", 225, right? So I've got to be the largest body weight specialist in the league. But a lot of our crop of players comes from like CrossFit or functional fitness style gyms, you know, and for all the pluses that model of fitness comes with, teaching gymnastics is not something they do very well usually, you know? Right. So our players have to specialize in so much that they need to go find coaches who are comfortable teaching that, or other players who are comfortable teaching that. Because you don't get nearly as many reps of double touches as you do of power cleans, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Now also let's get into a little bit about your business life and working. And so you own SharkBite Fitness and Nutrition. So tell me, how did you start that? When did this come about?
Yeah, so SharkBite Fitness and Nutrition, we've been around for 7 years, counting our original location. We started off as a CrossFit gym in Cape Coral. Over the years, we evolved into something I think much larger and much more in depth than a CrossFit gym. We started offering fitness for veterans, for people in recovery, for children, for older people, for people with medical needs. We have physical therapy and stuff like that on deck as well. And then we started offering nutrition coaching as well. And now we've expanded out into Fort Myers and to Naples. So these are all cities in the Southwest Florida area. We plan on just trying to create the best, fitness experience that we can and training the best coaches we can for, everyday average people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you also, you have your own gym, you have multiple different businesses. I know you said you have a recovery, as you do that as well there. So you're also doing fitness recovery. So is there anything else that you do? I know you have a billion different businesses.
Yeah, we have athletic recovery services, which is exactly what it sounds like, our athletic recovery business in Cape Coral. Yeah, we have some other things in the works. I'm not super comfortable talking about them yet publicly, but
Ooh, exciting.
Shark Bite's never not growing in one way or another.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I see you guys are really taking advantage of social media with Shark Bite as well. I see you guys have a podcast too.
We sure do, yeah. I host something called the Shark Bite Show. What we do is we bring on coaches and members and friends of ours in the area, and we just talk about their experience with fitness, their journey towards becoming healthier. It's really hard to get started. It's really easy to forget that when you've been involved in working out or playing sports or being fit the majority of your life. But most of the people in our country haven't done that or don't do that regularly. And it's super, super, super intimidating to get started. So the hope of the Shark Bite Show is just tell some stories about awesome people, so more people can look at that and be like, if they can do that, I can do that.
That's awesome. And you're also an 8-year Army veteran. So first of all, thank you for your service. And second of all, do you think being in the Army, obviously to be in grid, you have to be extremely disciplined and obviously in great shape. So do you think with your background of being in the Army, that's helped you transpire in your fitness journey as well?
Yeah, I think so. There's a fair number of vets in the Grid League. And I think that they'd all probably agree that the ability to think under fire, literally, probably helps a lot in a sport that's as fast paced as grid, right? We've had players on our team who were fantastic athletes, but their ability to adapt, their ability to think while incredibly physically stressed wasn't there,
Yeah.
And I guess kind of coming to the table with that one spoken for already, I would say definitely gives me an advantage, or gives a lot of us advantages in the sport.
Absolutely. And did that also, help strike your passion for the recovery services as well? Because I'm sure you deal with people, like veterans as well in that service.
Yeah, most definitely. With athletic recovery services, we work with tons of people who have former injuries. And then with Shark Bite, we work with tons of vets getting out of the military, looking for, new routes for that passion, for that purpose they're looking for, right? Yeah. And yeah, both of those, I think, fit really well into that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, where can everyone find you and the Sharks on social media?
If you were trying to find me, you'd find me on Instagram at Nick Habich, NickHabich. If you're looking for the Sharks, find us on Instagram or Facebook at SWFL Sharks. You're looking for Shark Bite, at Shark Bite, whatever city you live in, because we're probably coming there. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nick, and good luck with next season.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much.